Joe Burrow through training camp and through the season, they would still be playing right now. They'd probably be playing at home right now. So I have described this last season as we interrupt this program. I don't think it was the end. I do think it was an interruption. Everybody that I've talked to from around the NFL fully anticipates the Bengals will be back in the mix next year as one of the top teams in the NFL, even though we know there are going to be some roster changes going forward.
Exactly. Joe, what you got?
First thing, this is the first time I've been able to speak to somebody who has had a Simpsons character named after them. So that in and of itself is just an awesome honor. Outside of that, yeah, I mean, this was just a really weird Bengals season. I've said it before on Jeff's show, said it on my own show, and nothing felt normal. Burrow didn't play one game against any divisional opponent where he was at 100% outside of the first 25 minutes in Baltimore, and the very last pass of the season that he threw gave him the lead. So it's I don't know where this team would have gone comparatively to 21, 22, because the defense just wasn't what we thought it was, and that's partially injuries, and a large part they underestimated how big the departures in the safety room were going to be. I guess my first question, the only question that I have, this is the major one. Do you think that the Bengals are set at safety position, or at least are set with Battle and Dax Hill as starters for this coming up season, or do you think they're going to bring someone else in just to give some more, competition? This was both of their first year starting, so it's hard to give, to judge too harshly on the guys, but.
Yeah, Joe, if I had to make a bet, I think those two guys will be the starting safeties next year. I do anticipate that the Bengals will go out and sign a veteran, somebody to add to the room. Maybe that somebody winds up winning the starting job in training camp. I suppose it's possible. But Jordan Battle was great. Pro Football Focus ranked him as the Bengals' best defensive player overall, ahead of Trey Hendrickson, ahead of DJ Reader. So that speaks to how well he played. Dax Hill was a disappointment, but I don't think they're giving up on the guy. I'm not quite sure why he struggled to the extent that he did, but the traits are still there. He's a smart guy. Anybody that spent any time with Dax Hill would be impressed by talking to him. So I think with another year of coaching under Lou Anarumo and his staff, they're hoping that Dax Hill makes a major improvement next year. And getting back to what I said initially, I do anticipate that those two guys will be the starting safeties next year.
Absolutely. Now, off-season moves here. The biggest one, T. Higgins. The second one is Jonah Williams. What's your thoughts on, because just listening to Joe Burrow talk in his press conference, and somebody asked him, if there's things put in place for his contract to try to help out, and he kind of hinted at there was. To me, and Zach Taylor's come out and said we expect him to come back next year. Now, that can be come back next year on just a tag and not necessarily getting signed. What is your just heart of hearts? Where do you think is T coming back on the tag, or are they actually going to re-sign him? And what about Jonah? Can we bring him back?
I think T will be back on the franchise tag. After that news conference that Joe Burrow did right after the season, when he was finished, I turned to somebody and I said, well, I guess T's back. Because if Joe says I expect him to be back, then T. Higgins is going to be back. So I do think it's likely to be on the franchise tag. And I don't think this is a negative thing where the Bengals are concerned. Let's face it. Jamar Chase is going to be one of the top 2 or 3 highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. That's probably going to get done prior to this upcoming season. And when you're paying your quarterback more than $50 million and you're paying one of your wide receivers probably more than $30 million, it's really hard to pay another one somewhere in the vicinity of $25 million. I'm not exactly sure what T. Higgins is asking for, but he's got the same agent as Jesse Bates, and I don't think he's looking to give anybody a discount, nor should he. So I anticipate that the Bengals will try to keep the band together for at least one more year by using the franchise tag. And that's a good thing. I look forward to seeing those guys together for at least one more year.
Now, I had Mike Petraglia on here yesterday, and he brought this up as far as, because for me in the off season, defensive line, especially out the middle, is a big thing that we got to improve upon with keeping, Jonah and T, if we can keep both. He mentioned Chris Jones. I said, I would be shocked if we signed him. He goes, well, everybody's shocked that we signed Orlando Brown. I said, that's true. So he said, you never know. He wasn't reporting it or anything like that. He was just throwing it out there. I mean, to me, if the Bengals, if this would be the perfect scenario, they get T signed, they on a franchise tag or whatever, bring back Jonah, get the Chris Jones, and then Brock Bowers falls us to us at 18. I mean, that's the perfect offseason to me right there, Dan.
That is the perfect offseason. I guess I didn't answer your question about Jonah Williams, by the way. I don't think Jonah will be back. Jonah played reasonably well, but depending on how highly you value Pro Football Focus rankings, he still was in the 60s for offensive tackles, and he's going to get a contract for somebody with much better status than that, for lack of a better expression. He's going to get paid, and their free agent projections say 4 years, 64 mil. That's what the Bengals are paying Orlando Brown Jr. And Jonah Williams is not as good. Orlando maybe didn't live up to our hopes and expectations, but he was still pretty solid. I think he probably bounces back and plays even better next year. And he does have the pedigree of being a 4-time Pro Bowler. Jonah doesn't have that. I think he's a perfectly serviceable NFL offensive tackle, but I think he's going to get paid like he's much better than that, and that's likely to be somewhere else. As for Chris Jones, yeah, it'd be great, but I don't see it happening. Yeah. One of the reasons why the Bengals were able to sign Orlando Brown Jr. is that he didn't get top dollar. He's not skimping to get by at $16 million a year. But the Chiefs had offered him more than 20 prior to that. They just didn't offer him as much guaranteed money. So I don't see that happening with Chris Jones. Somebody is going to pay him as one of the top defensive tackles, one of the highest paid defensive tackles in the NFL. And I wouldn't anticipate that being in Cincinnati. As for Brock Bowers, will he make it to 18? Probably not, but we can keep our fingers crossed and hope that it happens.
Right, exactly. So if Jonah Williams does leave, that's to me is a scary proposition. Say what you want about Jonah, but Dan, we have nobody to replace him. And I don't really think there's a guy in free agency that's any better than Jonah. Might be as good as Jonah, but not any better. And I don't know if we're at 18. I don't know if we can't draft anybody there. So what's your thoughts on what the Bengals will do if they do not resign Jonah Williams?
Well, everything I've read and heard about this year's draft is that it's really deep in offensive tackles. So I do think there is going to be a potential plug and play starter available with the 18th pick in the draft. So that is certainly a very viable option. There are some free agents out there that are probably comparable, at least, to Jonah Williams. The name Mike Owenu has come up from the New England Patriots. He had very high Pro Football Focus grades this past year. And the issue with him is he's played guard, he's played tackle. They've kind of had a hard time trying to figure out where he should be. And he's performed best when he's been at right tackle. So maybe that's a name to keep an eye on. But I do think the opportunity is going to be there to get a prototypical right tackle with the 18th pick, somebody that's bigger than Jonah, more of a, 6'7", 300-pound of guy, which I think this offensive line could use.
Now I got a question for Brad. Dan, do you think they will go out and find a number one tight end? Like, I guess you just kind of answer this, or stick with Hayden Hutchinson, which Tanner Hutchinson, which I think Tanner did a great job. I was banging his drum at training camp. I was watching him from the bridge. I remember going, "Who in the hell is 87?" He was just jumping off the page, so to speak, from watching from the bridge. But with that being said, to me, if you got Tanner Hudson and Sample as your 1 and 2, that's pretty good. You still need to add somebody, though, I think. What's your elaborate?
Yeah, I think Tanner Hudson will be back, but I certainly think adding a more explosive tight end is on the menu for things they would like to get done this season. You mentioned Brock Bowers. That would be a fantasy.
That was more tongue-in-cheek. I don't really think
it could happen. I mean, I've seen some mock drafts where he slides to 18. You never know. You don't know what teams are thinking, and you don't know which ones are really targeting tight end in the draft. So anything's possible. But I do think that they're probably going to look to add more of a field stretcher. Tanner Hudson, I think, had 1 or 2 catches where the ball was thrown 20 yards downfield, but they don't really get a lot of explosive plays from their tight ends. And I think that's something that they would like to add if they can.
Yeah, all that scares me is if they do, which I mean, if Jonah Williams is gone, then I think 100% they're getting a tackle. And the only thing that scares me is just the Bengals' track record the last couple of years of drafting offensive linemen. Now Cordell Wilson has worked out. I mean, people can say what they want, but he's getting better, and I think he's gonna be a fine guard. But we got the Jackson Carman thing, and then however people want to say about Jonah Williams. That's the part that just scares me of if they can actually get a guy for plug and play, because damn, the goal is here in Cincinnati to win the Super Bowl. That's the goal. So that's where I wish they'd sign Jonah, so you had that veteran guy in there and had the same 5 guys back. I know not everybody agrees with me, but does that worry you, I guess, with the past of the Bengals drafting tackles?
No, because we kind of pick and choose how we evaluate that. So yeah, people are going to throw out Cedric Ogbuehi and Jackson Carman, guys that didn't work out the way that the Bengals were hoping that they would. But then you forget about Kevin Zeitler, who's still playing at a very high level. You know, you want to keep Jonah. They drafted him. So right. Jonah hasn't been terrible, and he had injuries at the beginning of his year. So I think most teams have an up and down track record when it comes to the draft, especially when you get past the first round. And I think if they wind up using the 18th pick in the draft on somebody that they think can play right tackle, he might never be an all-pro or a Pro Bowler, but I think they're going to get somebody who would be competent and able to play right off the bat.
Joe, what do you got?
I was going to say, Dan Brugler in The Athletic, they had an article this morning about the first 2-round draft, mock draft for the Bengals. He had them getting, totally missing
Marius
it here.
Mims.
Yeah, there we go. Mims, who's a huge monster of a man, 6'7", 340. There's going to be a lot of large guys available at that spot in the draft. I would imagine that they're not going to spend money in free agency to get a right tackle. So I think that they're going to target, even if Brock Bowers is miraculously on the board.
No, if he's there, if they don't have Jonah, they're drafting a right tackle.
Yeah. Exactly. I just see them spending their money, not wanting to spend more money. They have so much money tied up in the offensive line. Granted, that cap space will go down because Jonah's going to be gone, but they need to spread out that money elsewhere, so they're not going to get another offensive tackle in free agency. I think regardless what happens in free agency, they're going after a right tackle.
Let me just interject. They're not going to just draft a right tackle in the first round if Jonah's on the roster. They don't do that. Now, if he's not on the roster, they're going to draft one, and it might be in the second round. They would draft somebody that they think can play right away, but they're not going to pigeonhole themselves into saying, all right, whoever the best right tackle left is, that's going to take at number 17. They will not do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Obviously, they're never a team that tries to draft for need unless it's a quarterback or something like that. But outside of the key spots that we talked about, like where do you think they could go? Where do you think they're going to look in free agency? Again, we talked defensive interior. I mean, I'd love for DJ to be back. I don't know what DJ Reader is going to look like next year. He's a year older. Exactly. And I don't know what his rehab timetable is. I could see him almost doing like Lyle Collins and waiting until after the season starts before he signs with somebody if it takes that long.
I think replacing DJ Reader is more significant than replacing Jonah Williams.
I agree.
Jonah is solid and competent and durable and a good guy. I have nothing against Jonah Williams, but DJ Reader is a huge difference maker.
Yes.
We've seen the results, the difference when he's in there and when he's not. The Bengals stop the run when he is and struggle to stop the run when he's not. Like you, I don't know the timetable for his injury, but in a sad way, I do think his injury probably made it more likely that he will be back. I think there would have been a team out there that would have given him like a 4-year huge deal, similar to the one that he got the first time around from Cincinnati. Now that he's rehabbing from this injury, I think it probably takes more than a couple of years off the table. And if it's something like a 1-year prove-it type deal or maybe even a 2-year deal with incentives, I think the Bengals would be very, very interested in keeping him around under those circumstances. And Lou Anarumo made it pretty clear that, you know, he would really like that to happen. So when Joe Burrow says this guy will be back, we know that guy will be back.
Right.
When Lou says it, it's more with his fingers crossed, hoping. But I do think there's a reasonably good chance that DJ will be back.
Yeah, Lou wanted Bell back last year, and, well, you know how that worked out, unfortunately.
My off-the-wall pick for the year is Bell will be back, that the Panthers will it'll be a cap casualty, and the Bengals will bring him back.
Hey, that sounds good to me. I'll take it.
Interesting call. Hadn't thought of that. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Matty Meyer, Jackpot Joey here says, Dan, would you agree? We need D-line. We got a ton of glass. I said icy. Glass eater coach. Is that part of the reason? He said, do we need help on the D-line? He kind of messed it all up. But I got the gist of what he said.
Yes, they do need help on the defensive line. First and foremost, whether it's DJ or somebody else that can be a disruptive 3 technique, they need somebody that fits that description on the roster. So whether it's re-signing DJ, drafting one, it would probably have to be fairly high, or going out and signing somebody else. That is a spot of need that will have to be filled. The pass rush beyond Trey Hendrickson was disappointing this year. I still am a believer in Sam Hubbard. You know, Sam played the second half of the season on an ankle that needed surgery the Wednesday after the final game of the year. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't completely healthy. And, you know, we know Sam, he's not a double-digit sack guy, but he is a guy capable of getting you 8 to 10, somewhere in that neighborhood, and, you know, super reliable. So I think his production will probably go up. But some of the other guys that rotated in didn't deliver the way that we hoped that they would. Joseph Osai had a very limited role. Now, he had surgery in the offseason, then he got hurt in the final preseason game. It seemed like his season was doomed from the very beginning. Zach Carter bulked up. We had high hopes that he would really be productive. He had his moments, but didn't have a great year. Josh Tupou, his contract's up. He might not be back. So I do think defensive line is a major area that they're going to look to add through players in the draft or in free agency.
Two quick things here. I know you got to get out of here. Real quick is, again, a defensive line. A position that I think the Bengals still have not replaced is Larry Ogunjobi. I think he, with DJ Reader and BJ Hill, was tremendous. While he was a starter and BJ came off the bench at the time, that's a position where Zach Carter, like you said, was supposed to be there. That's one where I think is a major thing that they need to try to fix this year, because they haven't been able to fix it since Larry's left. And I think that's a big contributor to some of the run game or run defense going down this year compared to last year and that. So that's a big one, is getting DJ back, getting someone to back him and BJ Hill up, I think. Well, I don't know if there's a guy out there that we can get a free agency or not, but I think that's one of the major ones. Now, I guess it's more of a statement. Go ahead, Dan.
You know, when they signed Larry Ogunjobi, nobody thought of that as a premier signing. He was considered to be more of a depth type guy, and he turned out to be excellent. Right. And it gets back to that word disruptive. That's who Larry Ogunjobi is. He might not be great snap after snap after snap, but he's going to get into the backfield a few times every game and make big, impactful plays. They definitely could use somebody like that to go with the duo, if DJ's back, and BJ Hill. You know, those two guys I think are very, very solid, but they probably played too many snaps. We only know for sure that one of them is back. So yes, I do think they'll definitely look to add somebody into the mix, probably in kind of the reasonably priced range, much like Larry Ogunjobi was when they signed him.
Exactly. Now I see the first Hall of Famer, Anthony Munoz, there over your shoulder there. I was hoping this week we might hear something that, you know, Big Willie got in. I'm fairly confident. You know, I've been tagging or texting back and forth with Corey Dillon and say, hey, have you heard anything? He goes, I haven't heard nothing, which was kind of surprising. I thought maybe something would have come out. Are you anticipating, like the rest of Houday Nation, that Big Willie's going to get in? This is his year. He'll get in.
I am. I think this is the year that happens. There were only 2 offensive linemen among the finalists. It seems to me most of the classes, certainly in recent years, have included 1 offensive lineman. I think Willie's case is better than Jari Evans, who I believe is the other finalist, the former Saints guard. I think momentum has been building for Willie over the last 3 years, since he's been a finalist 3 years in a row. And I think Jeff Hobson has done a really good job of presenting Willie's case to the other voters on the Hall of Fame committee. So I am very optimistic, borderline, pretty confident that this is going to be the year that Willie gets in. And I certainly hope that's the case, because God knows he deserves it as one of the premier right tackles of all time.
Absolutely. Get him in, get Kenny Anderson in, and get this guy over my shoulder here. Get Big 28 in, get Corey Dillon in. Those are, to me, the next 3 after that, I don't know if we have a shot at getting anybody till Burrow, Chase, Higgins, these guys potentially get in. I love Chad Johnson. I just don't think he had a long enough career to get in there. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm hoping. Ocho, don't block me. I would love to have him in there.
How about Geno Atkins?
Yeah, I think he deserves to be in there, but that's another one that we might have to fight to get him in though, because he's a Bengal and because of the win playoff games and all that stuff. So yes, I agree with Geno. Definitely deserves to be, because Geno changed the game. He changed the position, and to me, that alone right there makes him a Hall of Famer. Is the impact he made in the game.
I think his biggest battle is going to be the guys that came after him, because he kind of paved the way for Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was pretty much
Aaron Donald before Aaron Donald.
Clone. Yeah. Aaron Donald was a Geno Atkins clone coming out of Pitt, and Aaron Donald. I'm sorry for Geno's case. Aaron Donald's best defensive player outside of J.J. Watt in the past 15, 20 years, and you worry if that's just the comparison between the two is going to kind of keep him from getting the accolades that he deserves. But he was absolutely the most disruptive defensive, at least on the defensive line, the most disruptive player for 5, 6, 7 years.
Well, hopefully Aaron Donald will continue to play for several more years, and there will be a big gap between Geno's eligibility for the Hall of Fame and when people can start voting for Aaron Donald.
Absolutely.
And at some point during that window, Geno will get in before Aaron Donald is even under consideration.
Yeah, that's why you're the best in the business, Stan. I like your head. That's a good point right there. I know you said only 20 minutes. I'll get you out of here, but Bearcats, big game this Saturday, Oklahoma. I had Terry Nelson on this week, and he's like, "You sound like a beaten down Bearcat fan." I'm like, I am. I have been a beaten down Bearcat fan. I did not think we would compete this well in the Big 12, and I am ecstatic about it, Dan. I think we're going to win Saturday. We win Saturday, I think we're in the top 25, don't you?
I do. 2 wins over top 25 teams this week would probably do it, since they are just outside of the top 25. How awesome is the Big 12?
Dude.
I mean, this will be Cincinnati's 5th consecutive game against the top 25 team. Monday will make it 6 in a row when they play on the road at number 4 Kansas. That never even happened in the Big East days.
Right.
We remember how deep and how great the Big East was in 2011 when Cincinnati was still in the league. 11 teams went to the NCAA tournament, which remains the all-time record. But in those Big East years, the most consecutive games against top 25 teams that they ever played was 4. And now in the Big 12, the first 6 games that they've ever played in this league are all against top 25 competition. If they win tomorrow, they'll be 3-2, 5 games into it. And then who knows, maybe they can pull off a little magic in the second half of Big Monday. That's going to be awesome as well. On Monday night, Jay Billis will be on the call. So major exposure for Cincinnati at Fog Allen Fieldhouse on Monday night at 9 p.m.
What's crazy is
goosebumps. Go ahead.
I would say what's crazy is the next game, you're looking at, they're playing UCF, and UCF has never been, even with Taco Fall, they were never that good of a basketball program. But they just knocked off Kansas a couple weeks ago. They just knocked off Texas, the other day, and that's not a guaranteed win. Like even West Virginia has a couple quality wins. Like there's no bottom feeder. Like even with the Big East, there was a couple teams that you not that you're going to let off the gas, but teams that you're going to walk in the gym comfortable that you're going to walk away with a W. There's no night off. It's ridiculous. I'm just looking at the schedule coming up and ranked. And it's like there's no breather.
There's none.
It's really impressive to me too. You mentioned UCF. We know how good Houston is. They've been in the top 5 most of the year.
Yeah.
Cincinnati has gone 2-2 so far in Big 12 play. All 3 of those teams that made the jump from the American to the Big 12 are doing well.
Yeah.
So it probably says something about how good the American has been. Nobody would claim it's as good as the Big 12, but at least the teams at the top of the league are able to immediately compete in the best college basketball conference in the country, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I said the other night, the Big 12 is not a basketball league. It's a minefield. There's danger with every step that you take. And you're right, whether it's UCF next weekend or West Virginia at home the week after that, you can't take anything for granted in this league.
You and Terry cracked me up with Wes the other night because you did the whole 6 in a row and everything. And Wes is just like, this is why we got in the coaching. This is why we did. And the thing I said this to Terry this week that stuck out to me with Wes is like he got real close to the mic. He goes, real close to the mic. He goes, and I love it. And that fist pump, he said that fist pump. He goes, man, if I would have stuck my hand out, he would have smacked my hand and my hand would have went flying off. He was so that Wes Miller was so pumped up after that game. Now, this is what I asked Terry, too. Who did the better fist pump? Was it Wes Miller or was it Mo Egger? Because they were in the video at the same time.
What about mine? I was pumping away as well.
My bad. Which out of three are the best? I'll put it that way.
I'm going to go with Wes. Wes kind of had a full body swing, and, he's youthful. I'm old, so his was better. But I thought I gave it a pretty, it was a pretty good one. It was totally unprofessional. I'm standing up on press row, pumping my fist, which you're not supposed to do. But sometimes,
I told Terry
sometimes you get caught up in the moment.
I told Terry that. I said, you guys are all cheering. I said, you're not supposed to do that. He goes, no. That's the Bearcat side. We can do it on the Bearcat side. You see the other side, you're not supposed to. I'm like, all right, whatever.
We are broadcasting Bearcat games to Bearcat fans. So nobody expects us to be completely impartial. I try not to be a silly homer. But clearly, I think you can tell that I want the Bearcats to win, and that was such an exciting overtime period. I lost it a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you should have saw me down here. It's at all my social medias. I was going freaking nuts down here because, a couple of the fouls. And by the way, Jameer Nelson is still out of bounds when he rebounded that ball. I'm just going to keep putting that out there. How the hell they missed that, I have no idea. Anyway.
I've never seen the officials ice a free throw shooter before.
That was ridiculous.
They strawberry iced Dan Skillings.
I know. I'm yelling at the TV going, give him the ball. What are you doing? Just
it was insane.
Oh my God.
It was like a 5-minute long. It was like 2 TV timeouts, and they're looking at the monitors. I'm like, that's not cool.
Correct. And then, since when do you change the time remaining in between free throws?
Right.
I have never seen that before. So that was bizarro, but thankfully it didn't cost them the game.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you coming on. Hey, we are doing the Jackpot Joey golf outing again this May. If you are in town, I think it's May 16th or 19th. I can't remember which, but we'd love to have you join if you are available. I know I got my boy Corey Dillon's coming, so you can come hang out with me and Corey and Corey's gonna make fun of me playing golf because I suck at it, but it's got to go around and have some fun. I just want to put that invite out there for you. But again, thanks for coming on. Anything you want to plug? I know you guys just had the coaches show last night, which I'm going to make it out there.
Great.
My work schedule is crazy right now. So
Coaches show every Thursday night at the original Montgomery Inn. If you are there, you'll have the opportunity to win prizes. We give stuff away at the end of every show, including 2 Arena Club tickets to an upcoming game. So you can get really great tickets just by coming out and having a beer and listening to the radio show. Obviously, we've got the Bengals Booth podcast that continues in the off season. So look for that wherever you get your podcasts. And those would be the 2 things I would plug.
Sounds good, Dan. Dan, I appreciate you. I know you said 20 minutes. Sorry, I went longer, but I appreciate you coming on, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Who day? That was pretty cool.
Not too bad. Again, first time I've ever got to talk to somebody who had a character named after them in The Simpsons.
Yeah. I actually forgot that. You know, the funny thing when he caught me off guard when he said he did the fist pump. I didn't even see him in the video doing the fist. I was like, yeah, you did great too. I'm like, I didn't see him doing it, but
I just worry about always worry about Wes choking on his gum. Have you seen the actual lineup of gum that that's on the scores table? Like it's 20 different packs of gum. I'm jealous because I like having the. Now, granted, he doesn't have icebreakers. You've had icebreakers.
Yes.
That's the best gum. Like that's my favorite, and he doesn't have that. He's got the sticks, which was great when I was in high school. But you need the cool. You need ice cubes. This is much better.
Exactly. All right, so. What for you? You can finish up here. Last 20 minutes or so. What is your biggest Bengals off-season move? All right. Let's throw T out. Let's throw Jonah out. Is it?
I would say. Am I guessing or am I being bold or?
Where would you go? Let's put it this way: position-wise. Let's break it down that way. Position-wise, would it be secondary, defense? Are you trying to improve the offense, tight ends? What position-wise, where are you going?
Okay, I'm going to say I'm going to make one big move, and it's going to be on the defensive interior. There's an impressive amount of defensive tackles on the that are going to be in free agency. Chris Jones, obviously DJ Reader doesn't count because he's injured. Sheldon Rankins, Javon Kinlaw's young. He's going to make a pretty good size check because he's only 26. Christian Wilkins. There's just a lot of guys out there. Justin Matabukwe is going to get a gigantic contract because he's only 26, and he had 13 sacks. He's going to make over $20 million a year. They've got Spotrac has him at 4 years, $81 million per. I would, even with the Bengals having, trying to worry about cap. I mean, they've got plenty of space. I would drop that money on Matabukwe. You make him the primary 3 technique. You move BJ Hill to the reserve, and you bring him in as the nose tackle on in throwing situations. That's where I would go. There are a lot of people out there. I know edge is always a need, but I think they can draft somebody and still keep.
Yeah. I'm because the thing is that I think if we get that interior push up the middle, I think Sam and Trey. And hopefully Miles Murphy and
Miles Murphy. Yeah, I don't have a lot of. I don't want to say I don't have a lot of faith in Sam Hubbard because the guy's a grinder. He's a warrior. But I've said it before. He's an average defensive end. He's an excellent against the run, but he's subpar on rushing the passer. He'll get his sacks, but a lot of that's because Trey Hendrickson's flushing him from his side.
Right. Well,
it seems just relentless. He's going to keep coming, but he doesn't have a ton of moves. He doesn't have a large repertoire. So I would absolutely spend money on the defensive interior, and not even Chris Jones. Chris Jones is older. I mean, he's not old, but I mean, he's going and then heading into age 30 season. He's the same age as DJ Reader.
Yeah. That's why he might not get the big bag that he wants because of his.
He's probably still getting 9 figures. He's probably still getting $100 million with bonuses and all that stuff.
That's where I'm at though. Is to me is yes, right tackle, and depends on and it's just scary to me because I don't know what the hell we're gonna do if we don't have Jonah, and I'm not sold on. I haven't seen the Bengals draft a plug and play right tackle in God knows how long. So
but they can't even bring him in a free agency either. Lyle Collins was a buzz. Now, granted, he had injury issues. Orlando Brown has been okay. He was fine this year.
All we need is an okay. We don't need a. That's what I keep trying to say. We don't need a freaking Pro Bowl right tackle. We need an okay one. Somebody who can. But
I wish that they had the ability. I wish I had faith that they could go out and draft a guy and be confident that the guy that they drafted. I mean, they're in the middle of the first round. You should be able to get an impact player.
But they haven't. That's
right, exactly. I wish I were confident.
Right. That's why I'm not confident. I'm more confident in them drafting a defensive player than I'm a tackle. It's just history of what they've done here lately. Now, Jonah Williams, I like him, but I mean, Jonah Williams is a first round pick. He's supposed to be a plug and play left tackle. Yeah, I defend him, but he's never lived up to his draft status. I will say that he's never been all pro. Pro Bowl or anything like that, which is where he got drafted, he probably should have been. So that's why I'm like, he's always an okay tackle. He's not a great one.
He's a low end starter. He's not. I mean, it's not like he needs to be benched, but he's a low end starter, and I'm tired of the Bengals having low end starters. Ted Karras is probably middle of the road, but then you've got Alex Kappa, who's a low end starter. Cordell Wilson I think he raised his game to be a low end starter.
You think Kappa's a low end starter?
I do. He's only making. That's where he's getting paid is for low end.
I know. I think he's not working his contract. He's actually been pretty good.
And that's fine. Like you can deal.
The problem has been Cordell Wilson and sorry, my boy Ted Karras. That's where the problem's been. Not on Kappa's side. Sorry.
Karras actually, and again, put as much weight as you want to into PFF grades, but Ted Karras actually was the highest rated Bengals lineman for PFF. I think it was the 13th, and it was the 13th rated center. But I mean, I don't. You go way back into Paul Dehner Jr. and the I hear the podcast ground was the no donkeys, and I'm tired of the no donkey. Like that's fine, I get that. You don't want Michael Jordan on the offensive line. You don't want Jackson Carman. You don't want Adeniji, any of those guys. But I want studs. Look at the teams with the best offensive lines and where they're doing. Chiefs have one of the best offensive lines.
Do they? That's what everybody keeps saying. I'm like,
They
really?
They do.
Because their offensive line, I think, is worse than last year. Their run game sucks.
And
that's where I don't get where people keep saying their offensive line is great. I'm like, Patrick Mahomes been running for his life. I'm like, I don't.
Well, that's because their tackles are piss poor, but their interior.
And how's their offensive line great?
Right. Well, because their interior,
their tackles are terrible. That doesn't make their offensive line great. That makes their interior great.
They're pretty well graded, but Baltimore has a fantastic offensive line. Browns have a fantastic offensive line. It's again, I think that, and I wasn't going to say anything about Bengals having to get rid of coaches. I think they need a new offensive line coach. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure Callahan's going to get he's going to get a head coaching gig. Or if he doesn't, Pitcher's gone because he's going to get an offensive coordinator gig.
That's the scary part. Look. Zach Taylor's already said they're basically keeping all their coaches. They're not getting rid of anybody. So if they leave or not. So everybody wants to change the offensive line. I said that too. I think maybe we need to change the offensive line coach. I don't think it's going to happen. So it's really nothing to discuss. The thing to discuss and the scary thing is if Callahan, Pitcher's getting interviews for offensive line or offensive coaching, offensive coordinator jobs. The scary thing is, what if Pitcher gets an OC job somewhere else before Callahan does, and then Callahan leaves too? And if we lose both of them, then what? And people are like, oh, good, then we can go outside the organization. That's not always necessarily a good thing. I mean, that's.
I think all things being equal, Pitcher would prefer to stay here as the offensive coordinator than to go outside. All right. So he'll get interviewed and everything, but I don't know if he will take a job before the head coaching gigs get sorted out.
The good thing is, if you're an offensive coordinator here, you get to coach Joe Burrow, but you don't get to call plays. If you go somewhere else, you can call plays. Eric Bieniemy is still not a head coach somewhere because he didn't call plays. Now this year he did call plays, and actually he's a guy that I'm kind of surprised that I haven't heard his name in any coaching vacancy jobs. But that's a whole other topic. So that's where I agree with what you're saying. But the thing is, if when you all right, just say you're a pitcher and you are trying to get an offensive coordinator job, and you get offered it, and you kind of ask Brian, hey, are you going to stay or are you going to go? He goes, I don't know. I haven't been offered anything. Well, you don't sit there and wait. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to wait and stay here and be the quarterback coach because I think this guy's leaving. If he gets offered an offensive coordinator job somewhere else, he's gone before Brian Callahan. If Brian gets to be offered before Brian Callahan does, he's gone. He's going to leave because that's what they want to do. They want to move up to be the offensive coordinator. So that's the scary part right there, because that's where they both could leave. I know this is a better situation, but if you want to move up in your job, you don't want to stay as the quarterback coach. You want to eventually be a head coach is what you get into this for. So if you can leave and go be an offensive coordinator somewhere and you don't know if the guy in front of you is leaving yet or not, and they're offering you a job right now, you got to make a decision now. He's probably gone. So that's where hopefully Brian Callahan finds out quickly enough if he's staying or if he's going, and then we can keep Pitcher. That's the whole timeline. That's the scary thing right there.
I'm not that worried about it, even if it happens.
Why?
It's not.
Who are you going to put in there if we lose both of them? Troy Brown?
There are 10 million candidates out there. I don't care. I mean, throw some name out there. You have you're. Let me explain. Let me.
Go ahead, because I got to, because Bruce Coslet was, everybody's ready for Bruce Coslet to leave, and our offense sucked when he left. And then when what's face left to go to Washington, oh Jesus Christ, I can't think of his name. Our offense, and we had Hugh Jackson in there. Our offense sucks. So don't give me this crap that you can put anybody in there. That's not.
I'm not saying anybody. I'm not saying just throw a random name. I'm saying there are plenty of people out there who are qualified to get that job. Who were the quarterbacks when Jay Gruden went to Washington? What was it? Joe Burrow. When Bruce Coslet left, was Joe Burrow the quarterback?
No, it was Boomer Esiason.
Boomer Esiason at the end of his run, though.
No, right.
But before when did Coslet leave? When did Coslet leave?
90.
90, and the very next year, the Bengals.
After we went to the playoffs.
Yeah. But the very next year, we drafted a quarterback.
Because Coslet left.
Because the team was changing direction. No, because Sam Weiss was gone. That's why
No. Sam Weiss didn't leave till after 91.
But I mean, I'm not saying they should have gotten rid of Boomer Esiason. I'm saying they did. They were just changing at that point. My thing is, you have Joe Burrow, who's an offensive coach on the field, and
that doesn't mean you don't need an offensive coordinator.
I know.
I hate that.
My point, but no,
you say
my
that all
point
the time.
is,
I'm like, Joe's not the fucking offensive coordinator, you guys.
I'm not like you're totally misunderstanding what I'm saying.
Okay.
There are plenty of guys that are qualified to be offensive coordinators and quarterback coaches. There's a quarterback coach at 31 other organizations that can be a quarterback coach for the Bengals. But what is it? You have the Bengals head coach. No, it matters.
It matters.
It matters. But
you're acting like you just throw anybody in there. It's not.
No. I'm saying there are plenty of guys that would be able to step in and be fine.
Yes, there are. But I'd rather have the guys that are already been here for the last 5 years that have taken us to a Super Bowl and a championship.
I think they need a fresh voice. I am fine. Like
why?
Bengals,
why? Because just hold on.
The offense has gotten a little stagnant.
Look at that. Okay, you said look at what the offense they did. See, that's the other that drives me nuts. People are like this offense has got stale. You realize how many times in the last 5 years that they have changed the offense of what they were trying to do because Joe got hurt, the offensive line sucked. They had a coach around Adeniji, they had a coach around Jackson Carman, all the stuff that these guys had to coach around because of the way that Duke Tobin put this team together. You don't think that's what drives me? People are like, they don't change. That is complete crap. If you look at what they've done in the last 5 years of how they changed this offense in the middle of the year, because look at Philadelphia. They didn't change their offense. And look, they sucked at the end. They crashed. The Bengals were actually playing better than Philadelphia at the end of the season with the backup quarterback. Yeah. So, I mean, don't give me this. The offense has got stale. Sorry.
I'm saying this offense is going to look different in 2024, regardless who the coaches are, whether it's Callahan pitcher, whether it's Bob Smith and who the hell ever at quarterback coach. Because there's going to be change of wide receiver. Whether T's here or not, you're going to have a new slot receiver for the first time in Zach Taylor's entire tenure. I don't know if Joe Mixon is going to be back at running back. It's going to be a different looking offense regardless. And I'm not saying that you can just throw anybody out there. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying there are offensive coordinators get hired away. It happens, and they get replaced.
I'm not worried about one of them leaving. It's both of them leaving. And trust me, nobody's agreeing with me. Everybody is agreeing that we got to get rid of these offensive coordinators. These guys suck. They're terrible. I mean, our offense has been awful. We've never won a damn game.
Some people go way over the top.
I mean, that's not really what you're saying. But I got Amen Joe. You can always get somebody else. Press Taylor. You guys.
Okay, so let me throw this out there for you. Troy Walters, Bengals wide receiver coach.
That's what I said.
He gets promoted. The offensive coordinator can easily, even if Pitch and Callahan go.
That's the thing. You go from wide receivers coach. You don't normally go from wide receivers coach to offensive coordinator. You can.
Hugh Jackson.
Huh?
Hugh Jackson was a running back coach and an offensive coordinator.
He was terrible.
He was a great offensive coordinator.
Not the last time he came here, he sucked.
So was the team around him. They had
the one that went to 5 straight playoffs?
When he came back. Because when he started last and they came back.
Yeah, that one, the one with 5 straight playoffs, yes. And he was also the offense coordinator when we got blown up, in the 2005 playoff game. He was also an offense coordinator when our offense
that was Bob Bratkowski.
Huh?
That was Bratkowski in
That's right. When was Hugh Jackson our offense coordinator? Actually, he never was our offense coordinator.
Yeah, it was.
When he came back, he was. Because that was Bratkowski. He was like because he's the one that he's the one that got in a fight with Chad Johnson in the locker room in 2005.
Yeah, Bratkowski wasn't very good. When was he? I'm looking at the Bengals. He was the wide receivers coach from 2004 to 2006. He was there then in the 2005 room. Secondary coach and special teams assistant. He was offensive coordinator 2004 to 2015. Okay, so he was only the special team. He was only the offensive coordinator in 2014 and 2015, and they did a good job. He parlayed that into a head coaching gig. 2014 or 2015, they went 3-1 with AJ goddamn McCarron, and everyone wanted him back, thinking that he's the fucking messiah. As a 47-year-old quarterback, wanted him to start over Jake Browning.
Anyway, I thought the thing. I guess my point is that everybody keeps not agreeing with me. The scary part to me is
no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey, that's fine. I can be wrong, but I mean, it's not the easiest thing to replace both of them. It's
right.
not easy.
I'm not saying it is.
But that's what people act like. It's that and it drives me nuts that everybody acts like these offensive coaches suck, which they don't suck. If they suck, then why is everybody trying to hire them away from us?
I mean, the continuity that they've had for 5 years is great, but at some point, you do need to get different voices in the room. Zach Taylor is the offensive coordinator and head coach. That's my point behind. It's not a huge deal who the actual offensive coordinator is, because Zach Taylor is so involved in the game plan and calling plays.
So I'll just Jackpot here says they're putting words in the mouth. He just put two guys up there, and then I know you're saying offensive line coach. I got it. I understand that. I even said offensive line coach. That's not going to happen. I mean, Zach's already came and said that.
Someone could poach him, though. I mean, that's.
I don't think they're going to.
Probably not. I mean, the team hasn't performed.
Yeah, I mean, the only way this coaching staff is changing is if people leave. That's it. Zach's not firing anyone. Yeah. That's what I guess. That's my point to Matty here, where he said that I'm putting words in his mouth, which I'm not. You're talking two different things. You're talking offensive line. We're talking offensive coordinator.
Out of your fucking element.
Anyway,
we got a little heated there for a minute. I like it.
That's all right. Hey, it's all good. I got a red face. I just get irritated where people are like, "Oh, it's no big deal to lose both of them." Like, you guys are freaking crazy. And
this team doesn't need to be overhauled. I mean, this is a team that's made the Super Bowl, made the AFC Championship game, and finished that one game out of the playoffs, playing 2/3 or over a little less than half of the season with the backup quarterback, and only 4 games with a fully healthy quarterback. No, I mean, if they run everything back with the same coaches, they'll still win 10, 12, 13 games next year. I just think, my opinion, my personal, not what I would do, not what they should do. I would like a different voice in the room. Just try something different. I would like them to be exotic. I would love it when they were exotic. I love it when they do exotic stuff. I love, those trick plays. They ran some trick plays that just fucking were disastrous.
Yeah, I don't want trick plays.
Throwing a touchdown pass.
So you're talking about Hugh Jackson, or that would be Hugh Jackson. It was, God damn it, who's the offensive coordinator before him? His brother was Tampa Bay's coach. Why can't I think of his name?
Jay Gruden.
Thank you. You want to go back to Jay Gruden where we got offensive linemen split out wide?
I thought that was Hugh. Jackson.
Was that you?
Yeah.
All right, it's one of those two. I don't remember.
They had the interior offensive line, and they had the tackles split out wide with the wide receivers. See, I like that shit. That's fun. Is it the best? Like, it's the most effective and efficient football? No, but that's... You're changing, you're making the defense think. You line up with some weird fucking exotic, that whole stupid ass ring around the rosy shit that the Chiefs did last year. Everyone hated. I thought it was stupid. But at the end of the day, defense is standing around there, on their heels while they're doing this, thinking, what the fuck is going on?
What are you doing?
And that adds a second of hesitation, or that just adds a little extra thought in their head. And it's all about creating some indecision, creating hesitation, making them react instead of act.
Right.
And that's why I like exotic stuff. I love all the crazy motion. I love watching the Dolphins offense. Dolphins shit the bed against good teams. But their offense, when they're humming that offense with the motion on how they move Tyreek around, it's fun to watch. All the different run fits and everything. The 49ers, I know we hate the 49ers, but it's fun watching...
Yeah, I'm with you on all that. I do. Yeah. I do agree with that. That has been one of the problems with the offense this year. Is the motion. It's and that's why I guess I keep going back. Another thing would help is a tight end who can do both. And I'm not. Look, if we don't sign Jonah Williams, we got to get a right tackle or we got to get a defense line. That to me, that's priority. The whole thing with Brock Bowers, tongue in cheek. I would not draft him over if there's a better right tackle or a better interior lineman at 18. I'm going that direction, but. If you can get a tight end who can, block and catch, and you can leave them out there, you don't have to keep switching them out right there. That's the deception that I think that needs to happen, along with the different motion. Like everything. Remember, we saw Jamar Chase. I don't think we saw this at all this year. I don't remember seeing, but we had Jamar Chase in the background or the backfield.
A few times, not often.
Though. No. That's something that you can split. You can start him inside. You can split him outside. You can run him around wide. You can do all kinds of stuff. I don't think they did as much stuff. And partly of that too, is I think was Joe's injury, huh?
5. I'm looking at PFF. 5 times he lined up in the backfield. Once in week 2, week 5, week 8, week 11, week 13. That's not enough.
No, but a lot of this I think has to do with Joe's injury too, because he could not go under center. He couldn't. Everything had to be from shotgun. And then once he got going, now the thing I said this during the season, the most creative I saw the offense, the best I saw it looking was against the Sucky Niners. We kicked their ass. We ran the ball down the throat.
Just efficient.
Yeah, and we were on time, and they had no idea if we were running or if we were throwing the ball the whole game. That was the game plan. That was perfect. And I never really saw it again the rest of the season. So that part did irritate me that they did that. And I think we were seeing that in the Ravens game, the one Joe got hurt. It did seem like that. And like you say, this last pass was for the lead. So that's what I just didn't understand this year as far as the offense. It seemed like we find something that worked, and then we go back to the same thing. So that is the part that did drive me nuts this year with the offense.
Yeah. And again, this is more. I'm not saying I'm smarter than the Bengals coaches. I am, but I'm not saying that. No, I'm just kidding. I think the offense, what Burrow does, and again, you have to, with a franchise quarterback, you have to take what they want to do and make that the base of your offense. But I just think the more varied, I think the more diverse and complex offense you have, the more efficient it can be, because you're not just relying on one thing, on just lining everybody up, checking, just pre-snap reads, post-snap reads, and throwing the ball. I like the fact that teams will scheme guys open. They will scheme, how outside of the Arizona game, how often did we just basically commit to giving Jamar Chase the ball? He's the best football player on the Bengals. Like the best playmaker on the Bengals. And there's one game out of the 16 games he played where they made a 100% commitment. He's getting the ball. He's going to keep getting fed. Feed him. And even
I don't
with not 100% Joe.
Yeah, like I said, again, when I say that I'm not, when I'm defending the offensive coaches, I am not completely happy with everything that happened this year. I just get tired of everybody banging on them, acting like they suck and they're awful. They're not awful. Right. There are a lot of stuff that I didn't like that they did this year. So one thing, now I got to quit. People started to talk draft. I guess I got to start looking at the draft. I have not.
Still too early.
Still
too early.
Let's start talking about the draft. I'm going to talk about the draft from now until March.
We still have free agency to go through.
Yeah,
the season has to end, and then franchise tags, and then free agency, and draft. I'm looking at names, but Bengals, places where we think the Bengals are going to draft, they're going to fill those spots with free agency, and we're just wasting our time pissing up a rope.
Yeah, like Jackpot Joey here, Matty says they're going to take 2 O linemen in their first 2 picks. I have no idea. Like you just said, depends on what they do with free agency. I mean, you can't sit there and say that here in January. I mean, they could, but
they can also go with a receiver too, because they're T. Higgins. Even if he's, I think there's a 98% chance to where he is franchise tagged and back with the team. I think there's a 1% chance he's tagged and traded, and a 1% chance he's not tagged. 98% chance he's on the Bengals, but he's not going to be there in 2025. Tyler Boyd's gone in 2024, and Charlie Jones did not show that he's ready to be the slot receiver. They need wide receivers, so they have a need for playmakers. So
I agree with you. I think they are going to try to get somebody in the slot, but Trenton Irwin, and I'm not saying starter or anything like that. Do you think he plays a bigger role next year if we don't have a plug-and-play slot guy? It could be a combination of Charlie Jones, Irvin, and somebody else. Because Trenton Irwin, say what you want about him, if the ball is anywhere he can catch it, he catches that damn thing. So, I mean, that's a big thing, and Joe trusts him. What's your thoughts on him?
I hope not. I like Trenton Irwin. He's a guy that, when his number's called, but he's not a guy that can get free in coverage. He gets open. He can find a spot in the zone. He knows how to sit down on routes. He can make the catch, but they need somebody who can get open. Tyler Boyd could not get open. He struggled to get open all year. T. Higgins isn't great getting open because he's not quick. He's big, strong, and tall, and can make the big downfield catches because he's going to moss you. He's going to jump over top of you, or he's going to run through you.
Right.
But they need guys who can get open. That's why I think Yosevach is going to be wide receiver 4 next year. And I don't know who's going to be in the slot. It's not going to be Trenton. I hope it's not Trenton Irwin because he's going to be less productive than Tyler Boyd, just with fewer drops.
And my point was not him being the go-to guy at the slot. Right. I just think if we don't have a quote-unquote guy to come back and be that third wide receiver. It's going to be right now. It's going to be Trent Irwin, Chuck Sizzle, and whoever they bring in. I think it's going to be a combination of those three. But the thing is, if you can get, and it could be Tanner Hudson. If Tanner Hudson comes back, I mean, I'm not slot receiver, but as the third option, the tight end can open up more if we don't have that great wide receiver that we had in Tyler Boyd last couple of years. So that's another thing. And that's it. Tanner Hudson, I think, is a restricted free agent. I think we could sign him.
Exclusive rights. He's got the same
that's
contract
right. Yeah.
as Browning.
He's a practice squad guy, so he's not going anywhere. Matty Santee or Trent Irwin is a free agent this year. So
yeah, he is.
Which I mean, I think he's been a free agent the last couple of years. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get him. Now the thing with Charlie Jones, I believe that he can be that guy to replace Tyler Boyd. I do. I mean, say what you want about what you saw this year. He got injured. I saw, I guess, enough glimpses. Now, I'm not saying don't get one. By all means, go get a wide receiver to compete for it. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I've seen where I think that Charlie Jones can be that guy and can be that third option. But I'm still with you. Go get somebody in there to compete, because I always want people to compete. I want competition.
Someone needs to earn a job.
Yes.
And Charlie Jones has a ton of awesome qualities. He needs to get a lot stronger, and that can be done. I mean, he's got an entire offseason. I mean, last year he had to work on, you spend so much time just prepping for the underwear Olympics at the combine, which is totally different than getting yourself in football shape. Like, you're trying to make yourself as ripped, so when they do all the measurements, you've got the fewest body fat, and you need to work on your fucking broad jump and shuttle runs and stuff, shit that has nothing to do with football. Right. I think he absolutely has the ability to remake his body. He's just not strong enough, and giving him the job, that's where they fucked up with Zach Carter. He had a lot of work to do in the weight room between last season and this season, and they expected him to make that jump, and he didn't do it. You can't expect that. You can ask that of them and put them in competition, but
right.
He's not yet. Trent Irwin is a restricted free agent.
Okay.
So he's not. But the other issue, 25 catches. He had 2 fumbles.
Really?
Like that's he had too many fumbles for a guy that is, maybe he doesn't drop many, but
hey, I didn't know he dropped 2.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
But I know he's had a couple fumbles on muffs on punt returns. I don't think he's lost it yet.
No, I remember he did do that on the game on a punt return, and he got it right back. Once you said that, does
but he fell on. I don't think
going there.
I don't think they've lost. I don't think they've lost possession, but when you're hanging on, when you're a back of the room type guy, you can't make those mistakes. And I like Trent Irwin. Again, he answers anytime his number's called, but he's super low end, and he's another guy who's going to struggle to get open if they're tripling Jamar Chase.
Right. That's why I think T. Higgins back is crucial, but we'll see. Anyway, Joe, it's been fun. I like arguing with you.
It's lively. Really lively.
Hey, like I said, I argue with people on Facebook all the time, and especially Chiefs fans here lately. And dude, trust me, I have just been trolling Chiefs fans. I've been keep putting stuff out there.
I've seen it on X. I've
been doing it just to piss. I think it's funny. They're like, "Oh, we live rent free in your head." I'm like, I like free rent. Where's your rings? Like,
but you're literally just posting some picture or whatever on your own thing, and then they're coming after like, you guys are searching this shit out.
That's what I keep telling them.
So the point is, I get what they're saying. Yeah, like, you're talking about a team that isn't relevant to the Bengals right now because the Bengals are in off-season mode, but you're searching this shit out from a Cincinnati's sports guy. Like,
thank you.
What the fuck are you like? What are you doing?
That's what I keep telling them. I'm like, you commented on my page. I didn't comment on yours.
You found me.
Right.
Like, unless you follow me because you like to follow somebody who covers sports that aren't your own teams, which is fucking weird. I don't get that. I don't understand that. But like, I don't. You're seeking this shit out. So are you just doing a search for for people to troll? Like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't
look it up. Strawberry ice and the Chiefs.
Like,
I'm gonna get this mother effer now.
I've said it before and I've said it again. Touch grass. You take this? Yes.
Yep.
Set it down.
That's what I keep saying. They're like, some people are like, well, it popped up on my feed. Like, I told one, I was like, well, you didn't have to comment.
Right. It's like, are you either someone retweeted it or or you're in the wrong thing. You're in the For You thing, and you're not in the timeline. Like you switch over to the right feed on your Twitter machine.
It cracks me up. They come at me, and I'm like, and the thing is, they act like I'm getting mad. But I'm just sitting here laughing at you guys.
Right, like I'm just screwing around. It's pushing buttons.
Yeah, my team did make the playoffs. I'm going to root, and that's what drives me nuts. They're like, oh, well, you don't care, you don't matter, blah blah blah. I was like, dude, I told one of them, I said, look, if the Chiefs didn't make the playoffs, you would do the same damn thing. You'd be
yeah, exactly,
because it's called a rivalry.
Right, exactly.
That's what it's called.
I do have something to show you guys before I get out of here.
Oh, what do you
got? Getting some work done.
Oh shit!
And
I got the new tat.
Yes,
nice.
just got the line work done. So I don't know if you guys can. Well, you can see the tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, there's a lot more to be done between. Hell, I don't know. It's gonna be a full sleeve with all kinds of other shit. I'm gonna get an actual Bearcat, like the actual binturong in that as well. So.
Well, you and me were talking the other day. You were talking about getting a full sleeve of Cincinnati sports. I'm like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get the half sleeve when we win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about because Ted Karras is gonna, and Cincy hats are gonna let everybody get the free tattoos you signed up or whatever. So I think I might start that with the Cincy tattoo up here and then logo and all that stuff.
I'm going all the way down because I got to figure out something for the Reds. I've already got my Bearcats, claw there, but
I'm going
office job
anymore. I don't know if we're going down here or not. We'll see.
I don't care. I'm entering middle age. I work from home. I don't work in an office. I don't care what I look like anymore. My kids, I'm probably going to embarrass the hell out of them, but I don't care. That's their problem, not mine.
Dude, I say that all the time. I don't care what people think. I don't care.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to embarrass you, but if it happens,
but it is kind of fun though when I do embarrass my family.
Oh yeah. Luckily, my wife doesn't care about like sports enough to like pay attention to anything I say, or else she'd see like you're a fucking idiot. After being married to and dating me for 24 years now. Like she knows I'm a fucking idiot. Like this was we knew this in January of 2000 when we got together. So like this is established. This is fact.
Jeez, January 2000. I was already married 3 years. I had a kid. God, I'm old.
I know you are.
Shut up, Joe. All right, dude. This has been an absolute blast, man. I think it's been the longest since we've done. Plug some stuff on the Riverfront and the Bengals show.
Everyone on, you guys know where to find me. Riverfront Cincy. We are actually. Live count, we are at 997 subscribers. Like we are on the precipice. Woo! Nate, Tim, and I. As soon as we find we're at 1,000, we're gonna jump on either a Zoom call or jump on FaceTime and do a shot. I don't care if it's 3 a.m.
I thought if you're running shirtless around the neighborhood, that's what I want now.
That's Tuesdays.
So if it happens on Tuesday, then you're going pantsless.
Those are Wednesdays. I just have to go that way because the school is that way. So I gotta make sure I go that way.
Oh God, this shit went sideways. All right, Joe.
Off the rails. YouTube.com, Riverfront Cincy. The Bengals Show at the Bengals Show is our Twitter. Again, check us out. We've got so much good shit with Riverfront U. We've got our writers for UC, Xavier, NKU, and Miami. Check us out. You know where to find me. I'm here enough.
Exactly. All right, brother. I appreciate
Thanks,
you, man. Hooday.
Hooday.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. That was a fun show. I haven't gotten an argument like that with somebody since Jeremy was on this show. So that was fun. By the way, Joe, I was right. I won the argument. Just saying. See, I have all control. You're down there in the stage and backstage. You can't say anything. He's typing right now. I can already tell. Oh God. Anyway, just a quick reminder. Tomorrow we're doing a live show at Midwest Best Barbecue. We're giving away 4 Cyclones tickets versus the Walleye, a Marvel hat, a Marvel hoodie because it's Marvel night at Cyclones game. So show up tomorrow to enter the contest. Go to ZTV online. And please make sure you subscribe to my show because I'll be giving it away live on the show at Midwest Best Barbecue. All right, I got to see. Hold on. I know Joe put something over here. See what he said. Let's see what did Joe say. You're a legend and you're on my duh. It's fucking great up here. I know. Oh, goodness. So make sure you guys show up to Midwest Best Barbecue tomorrow. They have delicious chicken wings. Tim and Nicole are great people, so make sure you guys show up tomorrow. I don't even think I said this, but I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave. It's brought to you by T Properties and Jackpot Joey. I think I forgot all those plugs. Anyway, I'm doing a whole bunch of new stuff I forgot. But shout out to everybody watching. If you're watching the show right now, please hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. I'm on ZTV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X. All these are getting close to 4,000. Well, YouTube's not. YouTube's almost at 3,000. Facebook and X are almost 4,000. It's a race to see who can be there fast. So make sure you follow me on all these. You share the show out. I'm on Rumble. Follow me on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, podcast. Like I said, I'm going to be trolling the Chiefs fans. If you just want some pure entertainment, I'm going to be trolling the Chiefs fans until they get out of the playoffs. So maybe it'll end this weekend. I don't know. So make sure you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, X, Threads, TikTok. Pulling us off later on tonight. Put on the podcast on Beatpod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please, please, please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a comment and a 5-star review so more people more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Remember what Jamar says, anybody but the Chiefs. And that's your sports, baby. See ya!